real numbers using the unit circle. Now we have to find negative 4 pi over 3, which is the closest thing we can find is 4 pi over 3. And notice that it's in the negative section. So we have to find y. Remember that sign is y. So we come back and we have negative square root of 3 over 2. And because this is negative, we're going to take the opposite. So it's going to be the square root of 3 over 2. Now remember that cosine is x. So we're going to refer back to the unit circle, and it's going to be negative 1/2, which is going to be 1/2. Now for tangent, it's going to be y over x, and it's going to be negative 4 pi over 3. In order to find it, we're going to need the square root of 3 over 2 divided by 1/2. And remember, you have to flip and multiply to get your tangent, which is going to be negative square root of 3. To find cosecant, we have negative 4 pi over 3, and it's going to equal 2 square root of 3 over 3. And remember that cosecant is 1 over y. Secant is going to be 1 over x, so it's going to be the negative 4 pi over 3 is going to equal negative 2. And last, cotangent is x over y. So negative 4 pi over 3, it's going to be negative 1/2 divided by square root of 3 over 2. And you're going to flip and multiply, giving you negative 3 square root of 3.
Next, we're going to go back to radians, which, remember, we are using radians, and these are found on the unit circle. So for this, we're going to be doing 11 pi over 6. So we need to go back over to our unit circle. And 11 pi over 6 is found in this area. So we go over to here, and we sketch our angle. And we do a revolution, bringing us back to 11 pi over 6.
The next one, we're going to do find a positive and negative angle coterminal with a pi over 3 angle. So, as we remember our equations before, we're going to add 2 pi, so it's going to be pi over 3 plus 2 pi is going to equal 7 pi over 3. And to find a negative coterminal, you subtract by 2 pi. And pi over 3 minus 2 pi equals negative 5 pi over 3. So a 7 pi over 3 angle and a negative 5 pi over 3 angle are coterminal with a pi over 3 angle. And this is our diagram. Here is our angle. This is pi over 3. This is where it's found. And remember that pi over 2 is up here and 3 pi over 2 is down here. This is the revolution of 7 pi over 3, and this is the revolution of negative 5 pi over 3. And remember that we have to go backwards because it is negative. Alright, this is our problems continued.
And for number 4, we are doing radians to degrees. So what is 11 pi over 6 radians in degrees? To change the radian measurements to degrees, we need to multiply. So we do 11 pi over 6 times 180 over pi, which equals 11 times 30, which gives you 330 degrees. So this is how you can convert radians to degrees. Then for number 5, we need to find out degrees to radians. So what is 532 degrees in radians? To change the degrees, you measure the measurement to radians. You use 532 degrees pi radian over 180 degrees equals 532 pi radian over 180. And for this, we are going to round to the third decimal place, and your answer is going to be 9.285. And this is how you convert degrees to radians.
For our last and final problem, which is pretty difficult, it's going to be number 6. And the problem is, looking down from the roof of the house at an angle of 23 degrees, a shiny object is seen. This 23-degree angle is with respect to the horizontal, which is, you see the diagram below. The roof of the house is 32 feet above the ground. So how far is the shiny object from the house? This comes back to the 6 trigonometric functions with right angles. Remember that this is the opposite side, hypotenuse side, and adjacent side. And the problem 6 only deals with the tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. So coming back to the problem, looking down from the top of the house, the 23-degree angle is called the angle of depression. So this is the angle of depression right here. Notice by the alternate interior angles that the angle from the ground to the house is also 23 degrees. This is the angle from the ground to the house on this side. So from this diagram, we're going to see that tangent is 23 degrees, and it equals opposite over adjacent, so it equals house over x. And this is the house, which is 32 feet. And this is the x amount of feet that we're looking for. So since we're going to check this in the calculator, tangent is going to equal 0.424447. So checking that in the calculator, we're going to come back. It's going to be tangent 23 degrees equals 0.42447, which equals house over x, and 0.42447x equals house. With that being said, know that the house roof is 32 feet above the ground. That's right, the equation. So, since it's the roof of the house is 32 feet up, it's going to be 0.42447x equals house, which goes into x equals 32.42447. So, this means, putting all this in your calculator, that means that 75.39 is the distance from the house to the shiny object. And that is problem number 26, and that is our final problem, meaning that this is the end. Woo!